And I'm Jenny-Jaymes and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Everybody, another edition as we struggle with the music. Another edition of Two Queers in a Truck. It is the last Wednesday of March 29th. And good morning, Boo.
Good morning. We're kind of jamming there with old Chaka Khan.
I mean, old school music. Little disco going on before that, and probably half our audience was probably not even born yet.
I know, isn't that weird?
When this was hitting the charts, probably in the 1970s. I mean,
yeah, it had to be.
I mean, some of this stuff goes back to the day, like Saturday Night Fever time, and which was like I think 1977 or something like that. But anyway,
wow.
I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and along with my co-host Christian Cano, this is Two Queers in the Truck, the March 29th edition. And
wow. Another wow.
Full disclosure, we tape these shows a week in advance, so some things we may talk about today are going to look really dated because, well, it'll be one of the sections, but I'll give you a hint. It's going to have something to do with the former guy and what he's facing in Manhattan, New York.
Exactly.
So, going to be very interesting, but we'll jump right into it. So the first topic is I'm actually going to quote Benjamin Franklin first. We are all born ignorant, but one must work hard to remain stupid. And the quote is leading up to something obviously our friend Raphael Ted Cruz said, which was he just said this week on his Twitter, last month alone, 16 illegal aliens who were on the FBI's terrorist watch list were stopped at the border. An open border compromises our national security. Hashtag Biden border crisis. Now, I'm not an English professor or a rocket doctor, but when 16 illegal aliens are on the FBI's most wanted or watch list, terrorist watch list, gets stopped and apprehended at the border, one could conclude that we don't have an open border. Hence, they got stopped and detained, arrested. And it's the same sentence or the same paragraph, which automatically they should just take him out of the Senate. They should just say, you're too stupid to be in the Senate. Like, you don't qualify. Yeah. That should be a disqualification. Like, you're saying we have an open border, but yet they stopped 16 suspected terrorists at the border.
Sure.
So how do you have both?
Yeah.
I mean, like, he literally contradicted himself in the same quote. I guess Ted Cruz gets confused when he gets to the airport when he's heading to Cancun and looks at the arriving and departing sign, goes, well, I'm departing to Cancun, but I'm arriving at the airport and I'm confused. I don't know which line to go into to dodge the ice storm. Like he literally is got to be one of the dumbest human beings. Wherever he got his law degree from has to have wants a take back policy. Like, can we take his degree away? Can we just not? I mean, this dude's like a national embarrassment. He's for sure. Not that Texas doesn't have enough people in their government to be embarrassed anyway. But good gosh, like at least Texas used to have semi-decent senators. I mean, I think about Lloyd Benson. That was our senator when we were in our 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd was a pretty good senator, and he was the last Democrat that was the senator, a half century ago. Seems like, I mean, it wasn't quite, it was like 25 or 30 years ago, but it just seems like even the Republicans seem like they could crap out a better senator than Ted Cruz. He's spineless, he's stupid. Like, of all the 20-something million Texans, he's our best. Like, he's our best oppressed. I think if, I don't know, so many political superstars that we've had come from Texas, and in 2023, he's our, here, we'll serve this guy up for national consumption. He's our Senate, one of our 2 Senate representatives from the second most populated state in the union. Is this chuckle fuck? Like, you don't know. Like, Texas is de-evolved in front of our eyes. Literally is going from a purple state that's had Democratic governors and Republican governors and fairly good statesmen from both parties, and a semi-functioning state government that just really concentrated on the things we needed, like our highways and our schools. It has turned into a dystopian, I'm going to worry about drag kings and queens and trans kids and a fake border crisis and stopping vegetable trucks for 3 or 4 days as all the food goes bad. And it's just very, and I'm really talking about this a lot because Christian and I both grew up in Texas. We're both refugees from the state of Texas-stan. And
That's right.
we're both about the same age. So we grew up, to me, in more of the golden era of Texas politics from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, where no matter which political party you're with, you just did your best to represent our state, whether you were in the state government or federal government, is that you operated at a certain level of class. It was expected, honestly. I mean, because I remember when the 1990 governor's race happened, the Republican Party, just literally pulled the rug out from under Clayton Williams after he told that rape joke at at a press conference at his ranch. And back then, you wouldn't have supported an idiot like that, and they didn't. Yeah, I mean, Ann Richards won like a friggin' landslide. And you flash forward, 1990 wasn't that long ago, and now 33 years later, it's just the whole Republican Party is just, in Texas especially, is just turned into just one embarrassment after another, and it's so surreal that in our lifetimes we've watched the Texas GOP just completely collapse. I don't even know if that's even funny. It's kind of sad.
It's not.
It's embarrassing.
It is. Yeah.
I try not to mention my Texas roots too much. We just talk about a lot on the show because we have so many former Texans on the show, and a lot of our special guests, like Dr. B, lived in Texas, and there's such a history from that state. But it's just not the place that I left. It's not the place that I grew up in. I don't recognize it at all, shamefully. And how Texans just stand by right now and just keep electing the same idiots, crooks, and buffoons on the state level is just shocking. Like, there used to be some sense of fair play and intelligence amongst voters in Texas, and now they've just been gun slobbering sycophants as a party and just completely said, hold my beer, watch this. Let's see how stupider I can sound every week, But on to the next topic, which was kind of what we led with, which was Donnie just keeps losing bigly. Donald J. Trump, the former guy, he's having a tough week. I mean, I almost feel bad. I almost think that the show should send him flowers or something while he's still a free man. He
Almost,
not quite. But he lost in court today or this week. This when we taped this show, he lost to a woman that's suing him over him assaulting her, sexually assaulting or raping her, and his rape trial that's in pretrial motions. Several things the judge is going to allow, including his 2005 Billy Bush misogynistic comment where he admits that he takes what he wants and he grabs them by the and several other key witnesses are going to be allowed in his trial with the E. Jean Carroll's. He also has lost several other motions. Jack Smith has said this week that there's going to be some more things added on to the January 6th thing as far as the scope is concerned, which is a special federal prosecutor. And most of all, what's dominating the news, in fact, he may have been indicted and arrested and already done his perp walk by the time that this show airs. So this may look kind of dated. Plus, there's a pending arrest by the Manhattan district attorney over his tax fraud case in New York over the Trump Towers and all kinds of other fuckery and chicanery. But what I really wanted to talk about, which I think is the most important, is these AI images of him getting arrested and him making the run for it, which we all know, unless it was a cheeseburger buffet, he's not running.
Yeah, he would be able to run. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and these AI images, of course, have him a little bit more ideal looking, where he looks pretty svelte. He doesn't look as overweight as he currently is, or as old as he looked. But I'm still here for it because I got someone with wrestling the cops down to the ground and him running and of course, liberal Twitter is creating just some incredible. It's the fun thing about technology is you can create some pretty amazing art. And I mean, historically speaking, I think when we look back at this 5, 10, 15 years from now, and we get to look back at that art right before he starts getting arrested, one's got to wonder when he gets arrested, he'll be the first American president to get arrested. So this is a very historic thing, but it's also just kind of an eye-opening thing. And who would have thunk back in 2016 when he was yelling, lock her up, and, saying how, crooked Hillary and all the crap that he was saying, who knew that he was going to be doing a perp walk in 2023? I mean,
I keep thinking, Jenny, that I don't feel sorry for him at all. Sometimes, there's certain people you feel sorry for just a little bit. I don't feel absolutely sorry for him at all because he is poster child for the endless victim. Everything is everyone else's fault. And there's an op-ed, I think that when we filmed this, it'll be a week old, but that came out in the USA Today that basically said, is it possible that he's just a bad guy?
Yeah. He's just an absolute fucking shitbag, we were all saying it in 2016. We're like, hey, maybe this isn't the best choice the Republican Party can make. And even back then, Fox News was saying, oh, we don't even think he's going to get enough, electorates to even get the Republican nomination. They almost acted surprised when he kept winning these primaries And we're like, oh crap, he might actually win. We never thought that was going to happen, so we never sounded the alert. But we are going to take a quick break. This is our first break of the show this week, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers and a Track. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers and a Track on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye. We are back. We caught you right in the middle of eating, too.
You sure did.
That are listening to this show.
Yeah.
We sit here and we eat, we drink. It's a very informal show.
Sorry.
And we're and we don't claim to be the two shows we do. We always say these are pretty bootleg shows.
Exactly.
But then again, we don't get paid to do this. We do this because it's a really, I call it a job hobby. It could be a job for some people, but we've chose not to monetize this because nobody's going to pay us to do this. We'd like to. So if there's any potential sponsors out there, we would love. We do have a lot of viewers and a lot of listeners, which we're very grateful for. That we get to do this every week and get on the air, act like a couple jackasses, and make fun of people we don't like. And
exactly.
I mean, what a great hobby. I mean, I always think I could be doing a lot more. Like I could be going to clubs and getting drunk and doing some of the other things that I used to do. And instead, we wake up pretty early on Wednesday mornings for the show, and we've done this off and on for a total of almost. You've been doing this for over 4 years, and my 4th anniversary will come up this summer.
Wow.
I mean, so we've actually been doing this together for almost a presidential term.
Wow.
If you put that in perspective. So the first time I appeared on Coffee and Pan Dulce was in June of 2019, which is only about 3 months from now. And you've been doing this since the fall of 2018.
That's right. Yeah. Wow.
And so, and I've been, I came on as a special guest, and I just never left. I just kind of just moved into the show.
Guest that never left.
And I got put on the show by, fuck it, I don't think she's leaving. I think we better just make her a co-host. That's kind of how it happened. Was you kind of just said, like, I skipped a few weeks in that summer. But after a while, they said, you want to be a co-host, and I just outlasted everybody. I mean,
that's right.
I'm like me and the cockroaches in the nuclear war. We're going to be the only ones left talking to each other. Going, well, that was a good ride for humanity. But anyway, truthfully, we're in the topic 3, which is don't say pay. The lawmaker behind the Don't Say Gay bill pleads guilty to COVID money fraud. So he obtained $150,000 worth of COVID relief, then pled guilty for, I guess, misusing it and misappropriating it and then lying about it. And so he could face up to 33 years in prison for this. And he's already pled guilty, so he is going to prison most likely, unless they, do an internal probation or something. But he for sure is already. It's not even a guess whether he's guilty or not. He copped a plea deal. But I guess the party of personal responsibility stops at COVID money and government money. Like, that's not the first Florida guy. Like their current, one of their current senators did the Medicare fraud when he owned a company, was the CEO of a company. Like, what is it about Florida? In fact, and just like, they're not, discriminatory. Like, they'll do COVID money, they'll do Medicare money, they'll do government money. If there's money and there's a Florida politician involved, you probably just want to go ahead and just audit them all Florida Republicans. Like if they handle government money in any way, shape, or form, even if they were a meter maid and handing out tickets and probably were collecting money fraudulently on site, or they'd tow people's cars, I mean, you just we're at the point in the Republican history that you just kind of go, who's left? Who's left would you trust in any way, shape, or form in that party to do anything? I mean, I'm not even talking about a government job. I'm just talking about that you would trust around your family, trust around in your store if you had a retail store. I mean, who isn't crooked in the Republican Party? I mean, and even people that are not even in the party per se, but even like Fox News, they just lost the Dominion trial and knowingly texted each other saying, we know we're lying about voter fraud openly and making fun of the voter too. Like they make fun of their own base, calling them stupid and white trash and all this. I was like, you guys, like, this is brutal. It's just like, I don't even know how Tucker gets up there every night, Monday through Friday, and just lies his ass off. It just, you got to look at him almost like a paid actor, like a Tom Cruise or something. Just he's up there acting his part, acting outraged, and looking half the time like he's just crapped his pants. And you just got to assume this guy, he's just doing it for the money. That he's not a true believer. He doesn't actually believe in what he does. Which is kind of sad, because they've just cost American Republicans so much. You would think the idea of integrity in the news would come up, but it is the Fox Entertainment Company for a reason. Cowards of Uvalde is the next topic, and we're going through these fast. I don't know. The show seems like it's going by fast. Maybe not for the list, or y'all be going, God,
yeah,
y'all need to shut up already. But Cowards of Uvalde. So the investigation on the police conduct on the Uvalde shooting from last year has concluded that to the officers that they were afraid of that AR-15, and that's why they spent so long deciding whether to breach that classroom or not. As those 19 little kids were just being shot up and slaughtered by the shooter, and the two teachers, no big, is they cowered in fear. So I guess the good guy with the gun theory is probably dead. Like, maybe we should never even hear that again. I mean, nauseatingly, every time we talk about banning AR-15s, high-capacity rifles, limiting access to guns, and maybe not issue guns to the criminally insane, that are too young and too irresponsible, trying to draw comparisons to abortion and other things. But maybe we should just start regulating guns like we do every other consumer product. But I think we can call it to an end. There's no such thing as a good guy with a gun. There's people with guns, and there's good people, but they're not the same thing. That the 30% that own guns all have to be considered dangerous, is that you got a firearm that can kill people. It's designed to kill things. I mean, what other use do you have for guns other than shooting deer or people or targets? But they're not meant to plant flowers. I mean, there's not an alternative use for guns like some other consumer products, like say an automobile. You could haul people in an Uber. You could pull a trailer and carry dirt across town. You can do a lot of things with automobiles in general. There's only one purpose for guns. It's to shoot things, kill things, and break things. That it's a weapon of war. It was invented to be a weapon of war to more efficiently kill your opposition. And it's still that way hundreds of years later. Like there's not a, oh, guns, kill people, but they also cure cancer too. Like there's not an either or. Like there's not a, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's kind of like we act like this good guy with the gun bullshit is actually plausible. Like to me, when I do see a big old Queen Republican walking around with a gun on their shoulder at a Ben and Jerry's ice cream place, for example, I'm not super pumped to be in an ice cream place seeing some jackass with a gun. As one of the reasons I won't go into Walmart, because you see so many jackasses walking around with guns. And, and it's just really, really bizarre. It's to me, I'm going like, I don't feel safer. Oh, and I guess we should have taken our no, we're on our fourth topic still. But it's just to me, it's very bizarre. I don't know. When you're in a store, do you see some guy with a gun and a holster or AR-15 strapped to their shoulder? How safe do you feel?
I don't think I've ever been into a store where I've seen someone with a gun.
Really?
Well, first of all, I don't really shop. I mean, I'm not like going to a mall or a store or things like that. And when I grocery shop, I basically, I order online and they bring it out to the car because I don't like to mingle amongst the other people. So yeah, I mean, I guess I don't, but but I've seen, pictures of other people, where there's been someone with a gun, and I guess I just kind of like roll my eyes, I just like, how silly. I mean, why would you need a gun to go to Starbucks? I mean, if you're that afraid to go to Starbucks, then make your own coffee. I mean, it's just so silly. It reminds me of when you talk about Texas. It reminds me of the guys that used to have those real big souped up trucks, like in high school. They'd be like 4 foot tall. They have to have a ladder to kind of climb down. And that's kind of what that reminds me of. It's just so performative.
Yeah, or as we're kind of step around it, they're compensating for something.
Exactly. Well, that was my second thing I was going to say. Yeah, there was something everyone always. It's just kind of this unwritten rule. Well, they want to have a little dick. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what you say, because you don't. That's you don't normally. I don't know. It's so silly. It's just.
It's like the all hat no cattle reference.
Yes.
that we say it a lot. It was like, oh, you're rich, but there's all hat no cattle.
Yeah, anyway, all hat no cattle. That's right.
We are up against our second and final break of the show, and we'll be back with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
Yeah, it's just, I find the gun issue to be so exceptionally nonsensical. Like, we all know what the issue is. And we got one group of crybabies that just don't want to lose their cock-shaped binky. It's like their security blanket. And like, to me, as somebody that's grew up with guns and handled guns and used guns in my lifetime and owned guns and come from a military family, that it just seems bizarre that, as many gun owners that I've known and grown up with, they never would have had a problem regulating guns. Because if the guns are a problem, which they are, they're a big part of the problem, and they have to be part of the solution. Like, it's like people dying in car crashes because there's no safety equipment like seatbelts and airbags. Well, the car is part of the equation and the design and the intention of a car. And so you have to you can't take anything off the table. And right away, every time we bring up gun sense laws, can't take away the guns. We can't do this. We can't. Before there's even a talk, and you're like, well, how can you take guns off the table when you're talking about mass shootings and firearms? It starts and stops there. The discussion, what's our policy? What's this? Let's look into it. It doesn't mean that we're going from mass shooting to we're going to seize every gun and firearm in the United States, which is what these reactive queens from the Republican Party automatically jump. Oh, you're going to go seize all the guns. Obama's going to go seize all the guns. All 8 years in Obama's presidency, the NRA and all the gun shills all said, for 8 years, they said Obama's going to seize guns. He's going to go door to door and take up your guns. Never happened. Never had a Democrat actually suggest that. But for 8 years, they pumped up gun sales because they convinced everybody that Obama that he was going to come seize your guns. And I actually heard it from people I knew that said, I'm going to buy some more guns and ammo because we never know when Obama's going to kick in our door and take our guns. And I'd always look at it based on what facts. Like, where in the world could you find a quote for Obama where he even hinted at coming for your guns? Let's just be real. I don't think any politician would ever say that unless they want to get voted out their next term. Oh, by the way, it's not drag and it's not trans. Our next topic, or our first topic after the break, is actually about a Texan, believe it or not, a Robert Shiflett, spelled Shiflet, not Shitlet, but a former youth pastor from the Denton Bible Church. Surprise, surprise,
no.
Another child rapist from a church, youth pastor, no less. He'd got sentenced a couple years ago to 33 months in Texas prisons and got released with only serving 25 months of his sentence for good behavior, air quotes. Now, he raped 14 girls and got only 33 months. And so a couple things I want to say about that. And he moved back to the area. He actually moved back to Weatherford, Texas. He's already out. So people in the North Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex area, watch out and maybe even pay Robert Shiflett a visit. He's a registered sex offender. He raped 14 girls in Denton, Texas. And your Republican government let him out. I never want to fucking hear the Democrats are soft on crime. The fact that this fucker, he basically got sentenced to about a little over 2 months per girl, minor girl. Now, we Texans especially, and Texas Republicans are always talking about drag and trans people and how they're a threat to girls, because assuming that trans people only exist in the female form, that there's no such thing as trans boys or trans men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That we're such a threat to women, and they let this piece of shit only get sentenced to 33 months because he topped a plea deal that the prosecutor actually let him on a light sentence of 33 months after raping and assaulting 14 girls. 14 girls. I never want to hear that shit. I've got this saved on my phone, and every time I see a idiot post on one of our show posts about how we're soft on crime, I'm going to post that. And I'm going to post it over and over again. I'm like, y'all don't need to say shit, because this happens a lot. He's a white male. He's in his 50s. And it's typical Republicans and typical, especially Texas always say, oh, we're tough on crime, don't mess with Texas and all that shit. Yeah, unless, of course, it's raping kids. Then it's no big deal. It seems like they always get a light sentence. And they always plead for leniency, like they did with child rapist Dennis Hastert, the former Republican Speaker of the House. The last topic is Hen House, Meet the Wolf. Former the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank, ironically, and this is the bank that just almost went out of business, but I guess it's still in business because they're going to bail it out.
Yeah.
The CEO of that bank also was the Federal Reserve's on its board of supervisors for the district that Silicon Valley Bank is in.
Yeah.
Meaning he was on the oversight committee to make sure banks don't do what Silicon Valley Bank did, which overextend themselves.
Which it's actually, it's interesting you say that, Jenny, because I was just reading something about that this week. And actually, he was the general counsel of Bank of America in 2008, and he was fired. He was also on another bank that failed. I can't remember which one it was, Wachovia or one of those banks. He was with that bank. So he actually has a history of being with banks and being in positions that fail. He was with Merrill Lynch. So it's like, okay, well, you would think when you're doing like the background check, and I guess, I don't know, that's
whoever does hiring for a lot of these banks,
exactly
for the Federal Reserve, whatever checks and balances they need, they may want to look at them. I mean, because first of all, we're at the beginning of this new wave of banking crisis. And this is the third big banking crisis I've seen in my lifetime. And I'm not that old. We saw the Texas savings and loan, or the savings and
loans. Yeah.
Of course, the Great Recession, bank failures and mortgage scandal, and the 2007, 2008 era at the end of George W. Bush's last term in office. And then we have this new one. And it's not accidental that Trump cut almost all banking safeguards out of the deal, just like he did the train safety stuff. And so, they don't have to double check brakes and stuff like that. That's no big deal. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Ask Ohio. But I think banking is interesting from the fact that it seems like such a simple business. Honestly, you take a certain amount of money in, you send out a certain amount of money. When you send out that money, you charge a certain amount of interest while that money's out floating around in the world. And that's it. That's pretty much banking. I just covered banking 101, like I'm Professor Jenny, and I'm at the Trump University crooked banking lab. And to see a third banking crisis in 30, 40 years, it's like we're averaging one about every 12 or 13 years. And it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense that we have, it doesn't seem like that hard of an industry. A bit of all the industries, it doesn't seem complicated. You just need to have enough money in to cover your daily exchange of money. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And figure out a way to make money doing that. Which seems, between bank fees that many of the big banks are famous for, that make billions of dollars off banking fees and overdraft fees and Gazenta fees, and you got your money here and you didn't make enough deposits this month fee, and all the fees that all these really big banks charge you for just on the consumer side. And then on the business side, they charge, commercial checking accounts are not free. They just don't let you they don't let you use your own money for free. And then the pesky little interest loans, like it seems like that would be a very easy business to make money off money. Like, that seems like that would be the easiest business in the world, which again begs the question, are we the hillbillies of this planet? are Americans so stupid that we can't even keep our banks in business? I mean, is it just me? I don't hear China doing this. I don't see that their banks fail every 13 to 15 years, and they're supposedly communists and socialists. We're supposed to be the rising star and kings and queens of capitalism. We can't even keep our banks fucking open. Like, are we just a nation of hillbillies and trailer trash? I mean, are we just that stupid?
But I think this was a missed opportunity. I know you're almost out of time on this topic too, with the show, but I think this was kind of a missed opportunity for Democrats, for an example, because this is one of the few. I mean, I think there's several things, but this is one of the few populist things that progressive Democrats and MAGA Republicans have in common. They both hate to bail out banks. And this was, I think, I don't know yet because it's not completely over yet, but I do think that this is kind of a missed opportunity to say, you're right. The people with this bank deserve to lose their money.
Yeah.
And we've saved them. Now, granted, we haven't really saved the investors and the shareholders of the bank. We've only saved the depositors, which this was one of the few banks that only, I think it was 50. I think the average, I was trying to read to this because this is like one of those things where I was like, oh my God, this is a good opportunity. 67% is the average that a bank has of, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They average about 67% of their depositors are under $250,000, which is insured, which means that everything over is not insured. So those are people with big deposits, people with millions of dollars in that bank. This bank was only like 40-something%, which means the majority of their deposits were not small. They were big deposits, like Mark Cuban, all the companies. So they were the ones that had to be protected. And that's the reason there was a run on this bank, was because of the fact that many of them had money more than what was insured. So those people are not going to lose money, apparently, according to this. And then there's a couple of them afterwards. But the shareholders and the officers have to be held accountable. So this is one of those rare opportunities where, and I don't know how it can be done, but we had to say, you know what? You're right. We have to stop saving these banks.
Well,
not saving the bank, but I don't know if I've even clarified what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Bailing out these banks and even backing up a little bit further, the fact that we consistently have Republican presidents, and not just Trump, but W did this too, Reagan did this too, Papa Bush and Nixon. When it comes to business, they bum rush into deregulating, and they've done this with tons of industries. Every time they do it, deregulating and privatizing power and taxes. They're trying to privatize schools right now. They're trying to privatize Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. How many fucking times do we need to say we have regulations, just like we do when we went to school? We had certain rules we had to go by for this very reason. Like every time that we have a banking crisis, an environmental crisis, mass shootings, these are all regulatory problems. These are all when we debate these changes in rules. We need to also bring up the past and say, that's what cost us like 3,000 savings and loans back in the 80s. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Just for shits and giggles. Maybe when we lost all those mortgage companies in 2008 and almost completely destroyed our banking system then, when we debated this during the Trump administration of lowering the regulations, maybe we should have said, 2008 wasn't that long ago. Maybe we shouldn't do this. like we were little kids and we get out a little set of matches right before we burn down the backyard. Usually one of the kids will say, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we should just go put these up and do something else for fun.
Exactly.
It is that one of us needs to have a little, like the quarterbacks in the NFL will have the little cheat sheets on the little armbands. And I'll look at this and go, oh yeah, this play is this one. I got to remember to hand the ball off here, whatever. Maybe we should equip all of our people in the National Congress and the state Congresses with little cheat sheets. Don't deregulate banks. Don't deregulate the transportation industry because they might spill oil and chemicals all over the state of Ohio. And I don't know, it's just like we can't even learn from history, even recent history. And I feel like this country is getting stupider by the day. The fact that we elected Trump in the first place proves that we are stupider than we've ever been. But that we are out of time. We are running up against our next show. And so this is pretty much it for this week's edition of Two Cruising and Track. And we'll bring out some old school gay bar music. And we'll see you next week. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo. See you next week. See you in April.
See you in April, yeah.
That's right.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching Two Cruising and Track. And y'all be safe out there. And we'll hopefully have some good news about Trump getting arrested this week. Or last week.
Cross fingers crossed.
Y'all have a great week. Thanks for watching.
Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo.